Welcome to the Louisiana Department of Education FLAME Teacher Training. In today's session, you will understand FLAME, the foundational resources for accelerating math education, as a supplemental resource for fluency, and you'll begin to develop a plan of implementation. Let's review Louisiana's math pillars. Remember, we are refreshing our math materials and practice, and the math refresh is centered on these 4 pillars. All of the following pillars are grounded in accelerating learning for all students. First, we have those high-impact structures that are designed to prioritize access to high-quality grade-level math instruction for all students. Our second pillar is the just-in-time proactive intervention supports that connect prerequisite learning to immediately upcoming and current grade level work. Our third pillar is ongoing support for teacher collaboration and quality professional learning so that educators have the tools they need for success. And last, our acknowledgement of the key role of families and communities in supporting math development in our students. So as part of the math refresh, we want to introduce FLAME, the foundational resources for accelerating math education. These activities are meant to complement high-quality instructional materials by building students' accuracy, efficiency, and flexibility with grade-appropriate fluency skills. This resource is new from the department. It began its release in the fall of 23 and it will continue through the winter of 23. It is intended to provide you with additional resources to build the foundational skills and fluency necessary for our students. These FLAME resources will provide activities designed to build grade level foundations, formative tools for teachers to understand students' learning, and tools to communicate to parents. The state is also working to develop professional learning for our 4th through 8th grade math teachers focused on these foundational numeracy skills of instruction. So how can we use the FLAME resources available to us? These are to be used as a supplement to your Tier 1 curriculum. They are designed to be used as just-in-time supports for students who may struggle with mastery of a standard because of their lack of fluency or procedural skill. They are not intended to be used with every student. These FLAME resources include lessons that are about 5 to 10 minutes with a built-in assessment to help teachers determine next steps for individual students and instruction. And this is not a substitute for strong classroom instruction provided through those high-quality instructional materials, nor is it meant to replace the fluency building activities already within your Tier 1 core curriculum. So let's look at fluency across the grade levels. These units do not align to any specific Tier 1 curriculum. Instead, this progression focuses on the progression of required fluencies and procedural skill of standards for each grade level. Some lessons may be adapted from well-known open sources, but they are not to be used in place of any core curriculum. Each kindergarten through 5th grade level will utilize 3 units to use with an intentional progression from beginning through middle and end of the academic school year or as needed. Each unit is based on a focused standard that encompasses the major work of that grade level. Here you see in kindergarten, we begin with pairs to 5 and work through numbers to 10 to 20 because the main focus of kindergarten is to add and subtract within 5. You'll see in 2nd grade, we do start with adding and subtracting within 20, which is a repeat of 1st grade, but we want to get to those single-digit sums and differences by memory and also adding and subtracting within 100. Progression of the units for mastery of fluency in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade can be seen here. Again, understanding that we are working towards the fluency of the grade level, but we may have to bring in more conceptual understanding from previous grade levels to supplement the work. So let's dive into our materials and look at the unit structure. Here you'll see a breakdown from kindergarten's Unit 1. This is an example of 20 to 25 lessons for Unit 1, which is all about number pairs within 5. The chosen standards align to the unit focus, and all lessons are hyperlinked within the document. These hyperlinks take you to a lesson that looks like this. Again, this is a kindergarten example. If a kindergarten student is struggling to count within 10 in the month of October or within 100 in January, I can access this flame lesson to serve as a core support for additional practice before accessing the day's grade level lesson directly related to counting larger numbers. Another example for me to use this would be if I'm a 1st grade teacher with some students that are struggling with standard 10AC5. The companion document gives me that information for this prerequisite standard, so I can use this flame lesson as an intervention with my small group of students. Note the components of the lesson include the name of the activity, the approximate time frame needed to complete the activity and assessment. Remember, these are not meant to take place of your Tier 1 curriculum, but they serve as core supports and intervention for procedural skill and fluency. We also provide materials, and we wanted to make sure the minimal materials are required. If a template is needed, it will be embedded as a link, as you see here, that a game board is needed for jumping frogs. You'll see the expected student outcome, along with the standard currently addressed for the grade level and the future standard connection. Notes for the teacher may include differentiation or enhancements and enrichments for students. Following those notes, you'll see the method, the steps, or the vignette for the actual flame lesson, along with a possible assessment with next steps. This teacher tracking tool is meant for individual students and aligned to our math pillar for timely proactive interventions. The performance summary key provides guidance for the student's progression within each standard. Consider using this based on student needs. For instance, I may have a student named Abigail who needs this tracking tool because she is struggling for partner pairs within 5. So I may begin using these activities with Abigail, and I might start using codes for each activity. We may begin with some understanding, so I might give her jumping frogs and she has a B, turtle walk, she has a B. And then we begin moving forward and get more practice going through, so she ends up with progressing and hopefully consistent later. Remember, this isn't a requirement, and not all students will need to complete every activity, but it is a prescription for your students. Here you'll see a connection to our pillar around families and caregivers and communities. A parent report is provided. Each parent report contains a link at the bottom to the Family Math Engagement site with available grab-and-go activities seen on the right side. The description of the standard in the parent report is made simpler so our parents can understand the verbiage. So rather than putting all of KCC A1 on this parent report, we summarized for parents. So you'll see counting to 100 by ones, but also counting to 100 by tens. So one might ask how you can implement the use of this resource. And what does it look like? Well, in the Flame landing page, there is a units by standard document, as you see here on the screen. Let's say I have a student in second grade that is still struggling with understanding how to fluently add and subtract within 20. One of my assessments showed me that she could use some additional work in 2OA B2. But we have moved into a new module of learning that doesn't focus on this standard. I can look at this Flame Units by Standard document to see if this standard is one of the procedural skill and fluencies that we want to highlight and pull from the activities listed in Unit 1. I may even be a third grade teacher that notices my students have been struggling with 3 in BTA 2, and the LDOE companion documents maps this standard back to 2OAB2. Because I'm not incredibly familiar with second grade material, as a third grade teacher, I can use this document to take me to this foundational standard and its aligned unit of activities to use during interventions or tutoring. So let's access grade 2, unit 1. This is the breakdown we see when we access grade 2, unit 1. Let's say that my student has worked through the first 4 activities listed and is doing pretty well with scaffolding and when it comes to the assessment piece. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the next activity for 2OAB2, which is hitting the target number. We work through hitting the target number. For this activity, we can record progressing. Maybe after 10 and some more, my child Amanda was building toward fluency. She was beginning. When we accessed the differences activity, she was beginning. Doubles, she began progressing. And for hitting the target number, she's now at a progressing point. So I can record a P. What does it look like for an upper grade? Let's say I have a student in the 4th grade that is still struggling with understanding place value and true number sense with larger numbers. One of our assessments showed me that she could use some additional work in 4 MBT A1. But we have moved into a new module of learning that doesn't focus on this standard, so I can look at this Flame Units by Standard document to see if this standard is one of procedural skill and fluency that we want to highlight and pull from the activities listed in grade 4, unit 1. I could even be a 5th grade teacher or a middle school teacher that notices my students have been struggling with a 5 in BTA1, and the companion document maps me back to this standard 4 in BTA1. Because I'm not incredibly familiar with 4th grade material, I may use the document to take me to this foundational standard and its aligned unit of activities to use during interventions or tutoring. So let's say that I've been working with my student. We've worked through the first 6 activities and she's doing well, but still needs some scaffolding when it comes to the assessment piece. So I'm going to pull the next activity, true number sentences with place value. Here is the aligned assessment for that specific activity. Once I score the activity based on the lesson, I may now decide that my person, Amanda, is progressing. She may not be as consistent as I would like her to be, but I can record this in her tracking tool before we move on to another activity. I might even possibly do this same activity again with her. This QR code will take you to Flame. All of Unit 1 is available now, with Unit 2 being released by the end of fall 2023 and Unit 3 by the winter of 24. Use this QR code to access the Flame landing page. You'll want to begin to look at Unit 1 and some of those activities in Unit 2 to see which you could use for interventions or course supports. Let's pause here and allow you some time to access that page and begin making a plan for your students. Again, here is the FLAME resource release schedule, with Unit 1 being currently available. Unit 2 is being released as soon as today, tomorrow, and fall of 23. And Unit 3 will be coming out in our winter 23-24 time period. If you have questions, please send those to stem@la.gov. Our contact information is listed here so that you can request any individualized call for support around your implementation and planning efforts. Thank you for joining us today.